Whew.
And that's in high school without any really like prep for it like I did.
Right. Those are some crazy high school numbers.
Yeah, so I knew I was gonna do what I had to do, but I just had to make sure I can do it all in one day because I never had to do all this training.
What's up, everybody? Trevor Sikkema here from the Draft Network. Another episode of our prospect interview series, and we got a fun one today. We have one of the trending topics of the draft cycle right now because he put on a show at his pro day. It is Florida Gator cornerback Marco Wilson. Marco, thank you so much for joining me, man.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So your name, I feel like, will be very familiar to a lot of people. And that is because you've actually had an older brother who came through this exact cycle. And I know a lot of draft analysts out there, people who've been following this for a long time. They were hearing about you back in your younger days when you were recruiting, when you were coming up through Florida. And now you are actually a full-time prospect for them to get to evaluate. And so my question is, man, I loved Quincy coming out too. You know, I've been following the Florida Gators for a long time. I'm a Florida Gator grad. And so what was that like growing up? You and Quincy just seem so competitive. It just feels like every time I hear y'all do an interview, man, you guys are all business. I mean, you're to your craft. You're making sure that you're as good as you could possibly be. That makes me think that y'all had some crazy competitiveness growing up, both like on and off the field. Is that how it was in the household?
Yeah, it was a little bit. We were already always competing with each other, whether it was when we're working out together or playing NCAA together. He would always beat me though. But it was really competitive, and it's really a blessing to have an older brother who's doing the same thing as me, so we can compete and always just make each other better any way possible.
You've got to tell me about the first time that you actually beat him at NCAA, because I know that you have before. I know you said that like he probably beat you most of the time, but there had to have been the first time when little brother beat big brother at something. Did he like lock himself in his room? Did he like not talk to you for 2 days? You got to tell me about that.
No, honestly, it was like a one rare time where I was about to beat him and he shut the game off. So, that's just how that went.
Man, he didn't even give you the glory. He didn't even let you see the final stats.
He shut it off.
Man, it can't be all about that. I remember, talking about getting to know you and knowing your name through the recruiting circuit, even before you came to Florida. I remember listening to an interview that you did before you even committed, before you got into college football, and you talked about, hey, I want to start right away. Like, I'm not looking at redshirt. And you had a lot of colleges that you were deciding between. You were a very highly touted recruit, and you end up choosing Florida, and you did. You started right away. You started off as a true freshman. Was that just the biggest motivating factor? What was just being able to get on the field early when it came to deciding what school you wanted to go to?
Yeah, that honestly was one of the biggest deals for me when choosing a school, because it's just I wouldn't want to go to college and just be sitting on the bench for my first year. I feel like I'm just wasting my talent because I know the talent I have. And I feel like I would just put it to waste. So that was really a big deal for me to be able to just go in and start right away and make an impact early.
Now, we often hear that playing as a rookie corner in the NFL is very, very difficult. Just, the speed of the game, you're getting used to it. It's a new team. But going back to you starting right away at Florida, I feel like you got a little bit of a sneak peek of that. So tell me what it was like, going from being a high school football player 1 month, and then not too much later, you're going into starting not just for any college in the SEC for Florida. So give me a little bit of a preview and take me back into kind of like what your mindset was going into that first year, that first game, those first snaps that you had as a freshman starter for Florida.
Well, my mind was just to come in and just attack the process. And I'm lucky I had my good friend CJ Henderson with me there, because he came in with the same mindset as me, and we would be at the field till 9:00 at night, trying to just do drills and stuff and make sure we were on point. So when fall camp came around, because that's when we knew that's where we would be able to go get a starting job or earn most of our playing time there. So we came in with the right mindset, came in just ready to attack and just show the coaches. We had to show the coaches that they could trust us. That's really the main thing. To any of the young guys that might be seeing it, like, you got to earn your coach's trust. Like, without coach's trust, you can be super athletic, all that, but if your coaches don't trust you, they're not going to play. You got another playbook, stuff like that. But going into the first game, I ain't gonna lie, I was super nervous going into that Michigan game. I was actually really nervous. But that was like when we were in the hotel, like before going to the game. But once I got on the field, started warming up and stuff like that, I was fine. I was like, this is just football. Let's just play. And I'm lucky I had a amazing coach, Corey Bell. He did a great job with coaching us and just getting our mind right. He would always tell us, you're not a freshman anymore. Like he pushed us into a leadership role early on, and made us feel like we've been there already. And like this is what we were meant to do. Like it's not an accident that we're starting as freshmen, and that we're here on the big stage. So we just prepared the right way. He got our mind right, and we just want to attack it with the right mindset. So we were able to go in and make the plays we needed to as 18-year-olds going against older 21 and 22-year-old guys who've been there 3-4 years already.
Yeah, you talk about that process there and gaining your coach's trust. What are some of the things that obviously you've always been a really athletic dude. I mean, people saw that in your tape, they saw it at your pro day, but there's a difference between just being an athlete and then even being a good corner. Like you said, almost having that trust to be able to and go out on the field. Over your years at Florida, what are some things about playing corner that you have really learned, whether it's like a technique or being a little bit more patient or just man-to-man mentality or something like that? What's something that you have really taken from your coaches over these last couple of years that's turned you into a great corner prospect?
It's really just been film study. Um, Watching film is like one of the most important things to do to prep for this type of
Sure.
sport. And coming into college, I mean, I watched film in high school, but like I'm not really breaking down film in high school. I'm just cutting the film on watching it. So like
Right.
early on in college, it's like the film is on, but like for like certain instances, I'm not knowing exactly what to look at. So my coaches helped me like when you're watching film, like this is how you break down film, what you watch throughout the week, what you're looking for in the film. So really just watching film and learning how to actually watch film is something I really learned.
Now, one of the things that happened this year that I wanted to ask you about was that LSU game. It's such a big game. There was a lot on the line for it. End of the game, y'all make a play. You could tell that you're into it, and you end up throwing that player's shoe. You get a penalty. LSU ends up kicking the field goal, winning the game. And afterwards, a lot of people were saying, and yourself included, you talked about that being a mistake. But when somebody like me or somebody out there who might be watching, when we make a mistake at our job, it's not like the whole world's watching. And for you, it was kind of an instance where this happened. This was something that happened, and you could tell it came out of you just being hyped up. Like you just made a play. You guys made the play to make a stop and everything. And you could tell that was that confidence and that excitement and everything that just kind of came out in a way that it shouldn't have. But that was a mistake that was broadcasted to everybody, to the world, to everybody who was watching that game. And my question from you is really, what did you learn from that? Like about yourself as well in the process that's kind of, it really goes into the NFL where you go, hey, I'm on display at all times. And athletes, they have a responsibility to know that. And was that just kind of like a life lesson, something that you've taken from that? I would love to hear what it was like immediately following that, and then kind of your mindset about that event, that happening here today.
Oh well, immediately after that, it was super ugly. Like things I seen being said to me. Like I immediately knew when I was going back into the locker room, I knew my phone was gonna be exploding. And I had like probably like 500 plus DMs, people saying all types of crazy stuff to me. So I just made sure I try to cut it off for the night, make sure all my stuff was like on private, so just people would stop bothering me. But I mean, that situation, I learned a lot from it. Obviously, it is a mistake, and like you said, everyone in life makes mistakes. I mean, we're all human. But unfortunately for me, like any mistake that I make or a athlete will make, a lot of people will see it. Like anybody who's not on a big stage like that, you can make a mistake, and a lot of people aren't going to see it, so no one's going to be pestering you about it. But I learned a lot about it. I mean, I know I'm a very passionate guy, so I mean that was just strictly out of passion. Just excited, made a mistake in the process, but I just realized, it can affect my team, it can affect the fan base, it can affect me, my family. I mean, people were saying crazy stuff to my parents, even my girlfriend, which was just it was very disrespectful. I mean, but I don't expect people to really understand that, it's just a mistake, because people get caught up. Probably a lot of people probably made bets on the game and lost money. So they're looking at me right now, angry about it. But, it is what it is on that point. But, I learned a lot from it. I mean, I wish it didn't happen, but it did happen. I mean, and I'm glad in a certain aspect that it did happen, because I did learn a lot from it. It's not something that I would ever do again, a great learning lesson. But I mean, that's just a part of my life, and I gotta just take it how it is, and don't make too much of a big deal about it. Don't get caught up in the negativity too much, and just continue to live my life.
Let's fast forward a little bit to your pro day, because I mentioned it a little bit before, the show that you put on. You ran in the 4.3s. You jumped 43.5 inches in the vert, over 11-foot broad. I mean, and 26 reps on the bench. I mean, like, dude, these are crazy numbers. Like, this is all around numbers. Normally, when people train for the pro day and they have great pro day numbers, it's like, okay, they're straight line fast, or okay, they're explosive, or okay, they're strong. You were all of it. Was there an area that you really had to hone in on for pro day? Like, was there one of these areas where you said, okay, I definitely want to get better at this to be a little bit more well-rounded?
Honestly, that was for everything. I wanted to make sure I hit everything and make sure I did everything the best. Definitely the 40 was the most important for me. I still feel like I could have ran faster in that 40, but the 40
everybody loves talk about the 40 time. So you got to run the fastest 40 time that you can, because everybody's going to talk about that.
But the shuttles, I feel like the shuttles are also important too. I did really good in the shuttles as well.
No doubt.
If I run fast in the 40 and then my shuttles are really slow, then I'm like, only straight line speed, and especially in my position, I need to be able to move left and right.
Right.
And I would bench too. I was trying to make sure I wanted to hit the highest number possible on bench.
Had you hit 26 before?
Yeah, I hit 26 in training, like weeks before pro day. So I really knew I was gonna hit all these numbers. Anybody that knows me personally, I don't think they're probably surprised by my performance. Actually, I'm actually in my old high school room right now, and I have my Nike opening spark rating up there.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had at the opening, I had a 4.42 40.
Okay.
In the 38.8 vert.
So, I mean,
that's in high school without any really like prep for it, like I did.
Right. Those are some crazy high school numbers.
Yeah. So I knew I was gonna do what I had to do, but I just had to make sure I can do it all in one day, because I never had to do all this training, all these events all in one day in training. So I just make sure I just attack the process one by one.
Was there, because you've had a lot of experience starting now in the SEC, and there's a lot of good receivers, a lot of good offenses that have come through that you've gone up against. Is there a matchup that you remember that you just like absolutely loved? Like whether it was a singular receiver you got to go up against, or maybe just a really good offense that you played and you guys had the chance to shut down? I mean, is there one like memory that you remember that you really loved?
I feel like the matchup between me and Marquez Callaway has always been really good. Number one from Tennessee, big guy. And watch every year I prepared for him, watching on film. He's mossing guys in the end zone. He's deep balls, all this. And he's a really big guy. And Tennessee, it was always one thing. Certain teams, like I'll be in man coverage and I'm covering the guys and they tend to stay away. But Tennessee, for some reason, every year we play them, they just didn't care. Like, even if I'm man to man marking their guy, perfect coverage, they're throwing the ball up. Like they don't care. They like their guy over me. So it always made a good matchup, because I'll get a lot of targets in these games, and I'm going against a good receiver who's really big and attacks the ball.
I remember Tennessee tried to pick on your brother as well when they were playing up against. So he had a fun little rivalry. So it only makes sense that you mentioned a Tennessee one there. So that keeps the excitement there. I'd love to ask you what makes a shutdown corner, because I feel like you have such a great game for it. You have athleticism, you have a mentality, but I'd love to just hear it from you. Take me inside the helmet when you are on the other side of the line from a good wide receiver and you know your job is to just shut him down. What makes a really good shutdown corner?
You just gotta honestly, you gotta be trusting your technique in any situation. When you're tired, you gotta trust your technique. When it's a big moment, you always gotta be honed in on your technique. And just have the mentality of like I'm gonna win my one-on-ones versus this guy. And if a ball does get caught on you, or maybe you get scored on, you can't go to the sideline and get caught up in that, because then you're just gonna come out the next drive and me again. So you got to have short-term memory and just have the mentality that I'm the best person out here and I'm going to dominate no matter what.
All right, a couple more questions before we get out of here. One of them is about Florida. Tell me who's coming up next. Like, tell me who in Florida's secondary we got to watch out for in the next couple of years because they're going to start to ball out.
I mean, you guys already know Kyer Elam. So
yeah, he's been putting on a show.
I know he's gonna handle business. I feel like Jaden Hill, he's gonna get a full year of being able to start now.
Yeah.
I feel like he has the athletic ability to go ahead and make a lot of plays. And I feel like Jason Marshall, the new guy from down south that came up to Gainesville, I feel like
yeah,
he's gonna be nice. And he's wearing that 3. So I've heard a lot of good things about him. So
there you go.
I feel like he can go out there and handle business, especially because I know he's from down in Miami, and I know the mindset of someone who's coming down here. I mean, all we do is play football, and we don't care about anything else. We're just gonna go out there and compete. So
if he's wearing that number, he's got to hold it down for you. If he's wearing the same number. Also, I'll weigh in on the DBU debate a little bit. I just want to hear from you, like, what makes DBU? Like, is it draft picks? Is it interceptions? Like, when you talk about like DBU, what really makes a university defensive back university?
I feel like it's just the amount of DBs you're producing. I mean, and Florida does that well. But the one thing about me, honestly, I don't get caught up in the DBU conversation too much. I honestly don't care for it. I mean, I know there's a lot of colleges that produce great DBs. I know LSU produces great DBs. Ohio State, Bama, FSU has a couple. I mean, so it's just too much like commotion. I just give credit to everybody. You guys, I respect game when I see it, and a lot of guys produce great DB. So I don't just sit over there and say, oh, we're all DB, and then everybody else, oh no, we're DB. Like, I mean, everybody is producing great DBs. I mean,
I feel like the fans like to talk about DBU more than the actual players like to, because it seems like everybody I talk to is kind of like your mindset. He's like, yeah, that guy's good. I'm good. Like the other people are good. Like, it's just kind of, it's almost like game recognizes game instead of just like who's DBU. I feel like it's a fan thing.
Yeah. I feel like it too. I feel like the fans care more about it than the actual players.
All right, last question before I get you out of here. We got $1,000 hypothetical dollars on the line. Don't actually have $1,000 on the line, but let's say it's a bet. You've got to beat me at something that's not football. Like, you could pick anything, like cooking, karaoke, video games, like writing. It doesn't matter. Like, what could you do better than me? Playing chess, whatever it is. What could you beat me with $1,000 on the line?
Call of Duty, 100%.
Okay, all right. Which one? Well, I got to know which one. Which one?
Any of them.
This man said any.
Any Call of Duty.
This man said any Call of Duty. He's gonna beat me for $1,000. Whew! Which one do you feel like you played the most?
Probably the one that's out right now, because it's what I stream on Twitch.
Just doing Warzone. Ooh, little Twitch shout out right there. Okay. So you're a Warzone guy?
Yeah.
What's the loadout? You got to tell me. Like, what's the go-to loadout?
I mean, right now the AUG and FFAR is meta, so just whatever is meta at the time, which is that right now.
He's playing the smart game. He knows. He knows all the ins and outs. I have not played Warzone as much as I have played older Call of Duties, but I feel like there'd be a good matchup between me and you. Maybe we got to do it on Twitch sometime.
The older ones are for sure better than the ones that are right now, though.
The ones I played the most are probably like MW2, MW3. Yeah, but
those are the best ones.
See, look, we might have to actually get on Twitch and see what's going on here. Maybe get TDN to put $1,000 on the line. No, I'm kidding. They're not gonna sponsor me like that. Marco Wilson, they don't have that much faith in me. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck on your NFL journey. I know you're gonna kill it, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
All right, everybody. That was Marco Wilson on this episode of the TDS Prospect interview series. We're going to have a brand new interview coming for you next week. Make sure you're subscribed to the Draft Network's YouTube channel so you don't miss it.